What is up, my friends? I hope you are doing fantastic. I have struggled lately making videos, and I have all kinds of books that I want to talk about, so I thought it would be fun to make a picture book video where I share 10 amazing 2019 picture books. I can talk about all of these books in one video. I'll put I'll put links down in the description below if you are interested in purchasing them. That way you don't have to write them down. You can just sit back and relax and enjoy the show. Okay, are you ready? Let's go. Okay, before we get started, I want to ask you a favor. I would love it if you down in the comments below could let me know what 29 picture books you are dying to read, what 29 picture books you have loved, or which one of these 2019 picture books you are adding to your to-read list. So do that now, or in the middle, or at the end of the video. Thank you so much. You are amazing. I'm going to apologize before we get started for possibly saying names incorrectly. I'm sorry if I say an author's name incorrectly. That is all my fault, and I am so sorry. No disrespect meant. Apologies. First up, Elvis is King by Jonah Winter, illustrated by Red Nose Studio. I made a whole video about this book, but I just wanted to mention it again. The King is amazing. This book is phenomenal. I think that readers are going to be fascinated. We have a bunch of adults in our school who are gigantic Elvis fans. They love this book. My kids love this book. The case is so cool, but even cooler than anything else, I think, is inside the dust jacket. Red Nose Studio kind of explains what all of the things in the book were made out of. It's so cool. The kids just stare at it and then want to go make things, and that makes me happy. Elvis is King. All right, number 2, Planting Stories, The Life of Librarian and Storyteller Pura Belpré. This book is written, the words are by Anika Eldumoy Denise, and the illustrations are by Paola Escobar. Many of us have heard of the Pura Belpré Award, which is given out annually by the American Library Association. The Pura Belpré Award is always filled with amazing, amazing books. And I knew that she was a librarian. I think I knew. Maybe I didn't really know that. I think that I knew she was a librarian. But this story is so fascinating. And it's amazing how she came to the United States and told stories and just did all this amazing work in the New York Public Library and then became a writer of books for children. Your kids need it. I love reading this book aloud to my students. So good. Planting Stories. Next up is Who Wet My Pants by Bob Shea, illustrated by Zachariah O'Hara. This book is hilarious. It's about this bear. It kind of feels like you're at like a Cub Scout camp. This bear comes with donuts and he's super excited to share them with all of these other creatures, a lion and a raccoon and a tortoise and Bigfoot. And he's super excited, and then he realizes that his pants are wet and he wants to blame it on everyone else. And they're like, accidents happen. It's hilarious, it's funny, it's clever, it's original, it's fantastic. Who Wet My Pants? Next up, The Great Indoors by Julie Flatko, illustrated by Ruth Chan. This book's hilarious. So we as humans, a lot of times we'll go into the woods for our vacation, sleep in tents or campers and explore the great outdoors. This is a great, hilarious thing, a play on that, where all of these creatures, they head to a house to spend some time for their vacation. It is absolutely hilarious and zany, and my students were cracking up. It's so funny to see what animals might do if they were vacationing in our homes. Whew. Next up, the author debut of now author illustrator Christian Robinson. He put together this brilliant book. Check out the case. Oh, this brilliant book that explores like an alternate dimension, and this is a book, I don't want to say too much, where you will read it and you will instantly have to read it again. I read it 5 or 8 times, something like that. It just instantly, I had to reread it. And when I read it to my kids, I'm like, I'm going to read you this book. And I don't know if you're going to get it. I've read it a bunch of times. I'm not even sure that I get it. I just think it's brilliant. And you're going to want to reread it again on your own. And since I read it about a week ago, kids have been rereading it and rereading it and rereading it. And I think with each time, they fall a little more in love with Christian Robinson's Another. Next up, Just read this for the first time yesterday, loved it. A Big Bed for Little Snow by Grace Lynn. She won a Caldecott honor for A Big Mooncake for a Little Star. This is the companion book to that. Another wonderful story exploring where snow comes from. It's really good, it's so sweet. All right, next up, I have made a video about this book, but I want to talk about again. Carl and the Meaning of Life by Deborah Friedman. I believe this book has already received 3-star reviews. It's easy to see why. Poor Carl. Poor Carl the worm, the earthworm, just doesn't see his place in the world, and he doesn't realize it until he stops doing his job, just the impact that he has on the world. I think it just helps kids to see what they're doing in the world and how important they are and how much we would miss them if they weren't in it. Carl, read aloud book forever. Next up, The King of Kindergarten by Derek Barnes, illustrated by Vanessa Brantley-Newton. I don't know, I think this is just like a celebration of school and creativity and how awesome school can be, and school being a magical place. I remember my very first day of kindergarten, I cried all the way. My parents' yard butts up to the school, and I wasn't going. I had no desire to go. I stayed home with my mom. I never went to daycare or preschool. My dad was a truck driver. I spent all my time with my mom. I was not leaving her to go to school. My dad had to carry me, kicking and screaming, all the way to school. And I was so frustrated and so mad and didn't want to go. And he promised he would stay all day, and then he abandoned me and left. I was so mad. But there's lots of fun toys and things. I don't know, I wish I could have had a book like this that my mom could have read to me like every day for like 4 months before kindergarten. And I could have just, it would have made me want to go to school and go and make things and make friends. And I don't know, awesome book. Love it. The King of Kindergarten. Once Upon a Goat by Dan Richards, illustrated by Eric Barclay. This book is so funny. My students were cracking up when I read it. The king and the queen, all they want is a kid. They want to start a family. They ask their fairy godmother for a kid. And then she tells them at the next full moon, go outside and at your door will be a kid. And they do that. And there's a kid, which is a baby goat. It's so funny. There's like a super fun twist that comes later in the book. Hilarious book. Great read aloud. Such a fun book. And finally, quickly becoming one of my favorite books of 2019, Saturday by Oji Mora. She is so talented, and this book makes me so happy. I just can stare at the layers of the art forever. This is a story of a girl and her mom. The mother works so hard. She works Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And then on Saturday, they finally have time to spend together, and they have all of these plans, all of these fun things they're going to do. And thing after thing goes wrong. Everything goes wrong. The day is nearly ruined. And just a beautiful, beautiful ending about what's really important and what really matters in life. Saturday. I hope you check out some of these books. All the links are down below. Read them, love them, share them with kids. Hope you're doing awesome. Have a wonderful day, and happy, happy reading.